Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Texas Reloading Room. My name is Justin, and today I'm actually going to show you how to do a little bit of modification to enhance what is possibly America's most popular plinking rifle, and that would be the Ruger 1022. Now, I own several of these myself. This one was made in around the 90s, and it does still have the metal trigger guard there. Most of the more modern day ones have the polymer ones, which is okay, but I like the older firearms a little bit more because quality control on those was higher. But what I'm going to show you today, as you can see, let me go ahead and lock this bolt back. Now, if we pull back on this bolt, even if we take the magazine out and pull back on it, it stays open anyway, and you have to go through this release process. So what we're going to do is actually change that. So all you've got to do is pull back on it and it will automatically release. So let's go ahead and move over to the bench. That way you guys can see exactly what's involved in this. It's very easy. Okay guys, so here we are on the bench now, and briefly go over a list of the tools that you will and may need. Now, one of the first things that you are definitely going to need is a set of screwdrivers. Now make sure that you get the hollow ground screwdriver bits, which can play a very important role in working on firearms. And although you can use a Dremel for this, I'm going to show you how to do this with nothing more than some needle files. If your firearm is new or relatively new, you may need a set of punches. And if you're using punches, you will also need a hammer. Now, let's go ahead and pick out the first tool that we're going to need, and that is going to be our flathead screwdriver. So I already know what I need, which is going to be this one, but if you're not sure, what you want to do is fit your bit to the screw, and this one's got a barrel band. They use the same bit. So we'll go ahead and first off remove the barrel band here. Should be good enough. Yeah. A little bit more. Okay. We'll slide that right off. Now the next thing we need to do is unscrew this. And on most models that don't have a barrel band, this is the only screw that holds the action to the stock. Now, that's as far as we need to go on it. Next thing we need to do, if you can, set your safety about half and half on each side, and we can just pull that apart. Now we don't need the stock, and most of this is going to be set to the side as well. I'll show you that in just a moment. I actually need to cut these punches open because I haven't used them before. Let's see. Use a pick. Alright, so for this, let me go ahead and just lay these out real quick. On a new Ruger 1022, you might need a little bit of force. What we're going to do is take this pin out and this pin out, which hold the trigger group in. I would also say go ahead and drop the magazine and get that out of the way. Really all on this one I need to do is push and push, and it comes right out, and we can set this off to the side. So make sure that you keep up with your pins. If you need a magnetic tray, I encourage you to get one. I can just set those right there. So the next thing we have to do, and these pins may be a little more forceful, this is going to be just our trigger assembly here. There's one particular piece in there that we need to work on. So to get that out, this pin needs to come out first. This will come out with it, and then this pin will come out. So let's go ahead and take the appropriate punch, push that top pin out. Now you will have a spring that loses tension. Don't worry about that, we can just leave that off to the side. I'll show you what to do with that here in a minute. And then push the very bottom out that's in front of the trigger right there. Okay. And that will take this piece out, which is the bolt release. Okay. And for the moment we are done with all that. Now you can use your Dremel if you want. We're going to begin filing down on this right here on the inside. See how it's got that sharp angle right there? Let me go ahead and show you what we're going to do, because I already have one of these that's been modified. Alright, so this is going to be the before and this is going to be the after. If you can see that on the video, then you can see that we've basically smoothed that bottom part out and almost turned it into a little bowl. And I'm going to go ahead and go through it on this one, show you exactly what we need to do, and we'll go from there. So I'm just going to take my file and we'll go ahead and get started on this one. Now many files are made to be used in only one way, and as a general rule I find that they work better that way. Now these particular files are like a $3 special at Harbor Freight, so I'm not too terribly worried about putting them out of commission. I do have 3 sets of them and I use them. See, we just broke one. We'll just keep filing. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to make sure that you don't get too excessive with it, because if this is too thin down here, it could make this piece fragile. Fortunately, they're not expensive to replace, but honestly, it's easier if you don't have to replace it. Even though the last one took me a couple of days, the only reason it took me a couple of days is because I stopped when this was flat and it was still catching. So that's why we need to make the bowl on the bottom. Flatten it out right now, almost. Now once you get it about even, you might consider switching to a round file, and that'll give you the capability of bowling it out a little bit better. If you have a really small round stone, that might work even better than a file. Alright, so we're almost about even on the bottom there. What we want to do is turn that into a concave shape on the inside, just a little bit. It doesn't have to be much, just enough so there's nothing in there that's going to potentially restrict or bind the movement of the release or the bolt catch. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and switch out. And let's see which one of these is going to be best for me. I've actually got one, one right here that's got sort of a shape that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one a little bit on here. Try to bowl out that bottom edge a little bit. As you can see, we're starting to get a really nice bowl shape. I do have a little ridge right there in the center sticking it up, and that's what I'm working on right now, just to smooth that out. Let's go ahead and put it in the rifle and see if that's going to be good enough or if we need to go a little bit deeper on it. Okay, so putting it back together is going to be a tad bit more involved than taking it apart, but it's going to be quite alright. It's still really simple. So what we need to do, go ahead and take this, and we're going to put it in here just like this. No, sorry, just like this. So this piece with the thing in it needs to face the right side. So we'll put it in there like that, get that seated here just like this, line those holes up, and we'll go ahead and run one of these pins through there. Now it may not line up perfectly. You can just take your punch and get in there and line that up. Okay, so just like that. Alright, next thing we want to do, fold the spring down like that. So we're going to start the second pin up here, and it's also going to go through that same piece. We're going to start it. We're going to take this like that with the outwards protrusion up, slide that onto our pin, and nestle it down into the groove right there. And the last thing we need to do on this is tuck this spring lead underneath the pin. And the punch will actually work better at this point. Tuck the spring lead under the pin and then push the pin so the spring's got tension, just like that. Okay, now for the easy part. We're going to go ahead, take our action, and reinsert our pins. I do apologize if you're getting some bad camera angles. I'm not used to doing this particular kind of work on the camera just yet, and I'm also testing out a new camera as well, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so now that that's back together, and on these older ones that are well used, you got to be careful because they will just fall out. So let's go ahead and lock our bolt back just like that, right? Now let's test to see if we've got enough material shaved off of this to make it work. And we do not. So we need to take a little bit more off. I've got a really fine file here, so this is just going to help me smooth things down a little bit. Take all the really nasty edges off. Let's see how that is. Yeah, that looks better. Let's try it again. And this is just one of those things that you're going to end up doing several times. It is what it is. Don't get impatient with it, and if for some reason it's frustrating you too much, put it down and walk away for a little while. Grab a cup of tea or some nice cold water, because it's hot in Texas right now, very, very hot. Okay. All right, now, as you can see, I've locked it back. If I just pull it right there, it'll automatically release. All you got to do is touch it. So, I mean, I've been live on this video for just under a half an hour, and that is all the time that it took me to do this with, you know, 3 or 4 different takedowns. So that's pretty much what we're going to use. As you can see, I did not use the hammer at all. I don't need to. This gun is, pushing 20-something years old. Right around there, maybe a little bit older than that, and so it's nice and well worn in. I don't have to take a punch and a hammer to the pins to get them out. On a new one you might have to. That's just the way it is. But that is how you convert a Ruger 1022 to an auto bolt release. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions about this at all, feel free to leave those down in the comments box, and I'll do my best to answer those if I have an opportunity to. But hopefully the new camera is going to be working out well. We'll see. I'm going to go in and do a little bit of editing right now. Either way, I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.